Welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 26 and your unfortunately LCS losing Baltimore Beeholes. This is the third straight year we made the playoffs, but the third straight year that we have gone down in either the division or the league championship series. Detroit and Cincinnati have made it to the World Series. So let's go ahead and sim through and see how that works for them. To rub salt in the wound, Jackson Holiday is ready to come off the injured list. Little late, buddy. Yeah. All right. I want Detroit to win because they beat us. Okay. And Cincinnati takes a 3-1 lead. Detroit clawing its way back. Oh, I didn't do the international amateurs in October, so the AI is going to have to run the monthly scouting practice for me. That's okay. And the world champion Cincinnati Reds, led by Ellie De La Cruz, Matt McClain, Edwin Arroyo, who is probably my second favorite player in this game, Jason Chorio, MJ Melendez, Joe Adele, Hunter Green, Edwin Diaz. I mean, what a team. Jose Trevino behind the plate. Yeah, they deserved it. And we end our season with a score of 753. They're selling us a little short, to be honest. I think our score should have been better than that. But let's get that email that you always look for. Trevor Stefan, Emmanuel Clase. New budget, $260 million. Wait, isn't that a cut? Yeah, that's a $12 million cut. We're already in the red starting out. Well, that's a bunch of BS. And we have no scouting budget or player development budget. That's amazing that after all that success, our owner is going to be that much of a butthead. Did I ever fix him? Yeah. Okay. Well, we do have some decisions to make. Emmanuel Clase for $10 million on an option. I mean, obviously, we're executing that. Trevor Stefan is on an option for $7.5. And there's just no way. I mean, he pitched fine in AAA in relief. It looks like a little too many walks, but, we're going to go ahead and void that option. It's just not in our budget. Clayton Kershaw running for office. Good for him. Let's see. He's going to try to be a member of Congress. Okay. Well, there you go. No, don't pay me $1.3 million a year. Pay me nothing and put the rest in my budget. So I've checked out a lot of the international amateur free agents and hoping to find out more about their personalities. Once I have a better idea of what their personalities look like, then we'll take a look at that. For now, first look at arbitration. Bizardo Ferrer, I want to keep him. Tristan Casas, I have to keep him. Cody Clemens may be expendable, same with Geloff, but we are running out of depth in AAA. So we may be looking, early indications here, we're looking at going win now. We are losing Jordan Hicks, which hurts a little bit. Losing Aroldis Chapman, not the worst thing. He's 39 years old and he played well for us. I think we got amazing value out of Aroldis Chapman, and we're just going to let him go and feel pretty good about that. We may end up having to... how'd Jorge Mateo do? Competent in AAA, but I think he might just be a little too degraded to play in the majors, so... Yeah, it looks like Mateo might be going away. Some of these guys may not want to sign amateur contracts. They may want actual money. And so, landscape of the budget's looking a little tough. I'm trying to decide whether it's time to go win now mode or not. All right, I've done some checking around, and while it's going to be tight financially, it may not be quite the disaster that I was worried it would be. We are going to have to drop the ticket price down to $40 because our attendance went down last year despite better performance. We're going to have double the baseline development, 1 2/3 the baseline scouting budget. low draft budget and the regular international amateur free agent budget. And as we move on to the roster, we've got Will Vest coming back. David Peterson, unfortunately, we're going to have to cut loose. I shopped that $9 million contract, and it actually does look like there is just enough interest that we can dump that salary. Gage Wood should be coming up early next season, if not at the beginning of the season. Backup outfield prospect Cam Canarella should be up next year. In fact, I think we're going to start him on the team. And then third base prospect Austin Charles is looking all right. I find it interesting that he's very unhappy with his performance, but he was a league average hitter. So if he's super unhappy with that, that tells me he's probably at least going to have a bat that might work in the major leagues. So if we go into our lineups, Jackson Holliday, obviously staying. He was cut down early last year, but he was on pace for about a 5 WAR season. So we're going to hope that we finally get our value out of Jackson Holliday. He was injured for most of the year. Brenton Doyle is going to cost about $12 million, but he's a dynamite center fielder, and I'm happy to pay it. Kyle Tucker, definitely earning his keep, putting up a 4.5 WAR season. Not performing exactly how we expected him to for a $40 million player, although we are only paying about half of that. Henry Davis, he's plugging along. I'm waiting for him to have his breakout year. Maybe put up 5 or 6 WAR would be awesome. I've seen him do it plenty of times before. Tristan Casas is not signed. He's going to be another guy like Brenton Doyle, is going to cost about $12 million, and he's worth it. He's going to put up 2, 3, 4 WAR for us, and that's worth the money. Mason Wynn has been real solid. Let's hope he stays healthy next year and continues to be a great shortstop for us. Manny Machado's getting a little long in the tooth. We're not having to pay any of this $39 million, though, and so any value we get out of Manny Machado is basically just gravy, and he is still a good player. Lars Nootbaar was a little disappointing last year with his 91 OPS plus and his, frankly, substandard fielding. I mean, this is a guy who can win Gold Gloves and a guy who can hit like 280 and like a 130 OPS plus. So Nootbaar really needs to step it up. Kyle Isbell is going away, unfortunately. I would love to have him. Nothing against him, but he's going to cost about $8.5 million in arbitration, and that's just not in the budget for a backup player. Trey Sweeney really earned his keep last year. Above league average hitter, was productive. Hit 260, that's fine. Got on base at least a fair amount of the time. Can play a lot of positions, and he still has lots of value to the team. And he is still on a cheap contract. He's only making $3 million next year. These $6 million years are a little high. That was under the assumption he would develop into a true major league starter. And even though he started most of the year for us last year, that didn't really happen. So he's going to be in a backup role. Casey Schmidt, we're holding on to an ARB. He's been doing fine. He's an above league average player slightly. And he's got some good defensive infield ratings. So we're happy to have Casey Schmidt and his bat. Cody Clemens, we're going to switch him and Casas around. Cody Clemens' first base rating is 60, whereas Casas is 50. So Clemens is going to jump over there. League average hitter, and unless we can find somebody with a lot of power, it's going to be Clemens' job next year as well. Corey Lee, we might actually move on from, because I think we can get good trade value out of him. He shouldn't be a backup catcher. He should be a starter for a lesser team, and so we'll see if we can move that $3.5 million. I do have somebody in mind to come up and replace him. But look at the value we got out of him. 150 plate appearances, a 343 average with a 145 OPS plus. I mean, that's insane. So we got really lucky with Corey Lee. And finally, Merrick Houston. This is exactly what you're looking for out of a young super utility player. And, boy, he does have a lot of team history here. But yeah, for us, he didn't hit at all last year, and we'll forgive him for that. He's brand new to the majors, and his ratings are not developed yet. but I do need him on the bench. Moving over to the pitching. Pitching's going to stay mostly the same. Logan Webb is with us for 1 more year, and Emmanuel Clase is with us for 1 more year, both on very affordable contracts. The year after, we might have some tough decisions, but for now we're looking great with Webb, Skubal, Brown, and Rodriguez returning. Jordan Hicks we're going to move on from. I'd love to keep him as my 5th starter, but he is asking for $14 million, which is kind of reasonable, honestly. He's a good pitcher. So we're just not going to be able to pay that. So we'll have to find a replacement for Jordan Hicks. That replacement could be Trent Harris, who, as you can see, has some decent enough ratings. He's a very borderline starter. Last year for us, he pitched really well in 57 innings, 9.5 Ks per 9, very low walks, and acceptable home runs. So Trent Harris had a great year for us, and we may put him into the rotation. We'll see how that goes. Edward Bizzardo may be taking Emmanuel Clase's job eventually. Possibly Will Vest will be taking Clase's job, but not next year. In the meantime, Bizzardo performed very well for us, so we are keeping him around. We're saying goodbye to Aroldis Chapman. We got good value out of him. He didn't pitch quite as well for us as he did for New York. With New York, he was 13.5 Ks per 9. With us, he was only 10. He tripled his walks. And so, yeah, he's really begun his decline. However, we got good value out of him. He still had a very positive ERA+, and he wasn't coming out late enough in the games that it was a problem. He was in middle relief, so it's not like we had to worry about him blowing a bunch of saves. So good value out of Chapman, and we're going to move on from him. Jose Ferrer has declined a little bit. If we go into the scouting, we'll see like he had all this potential, and this is why I was so high on him. But now he's settled down into a 45 stuff guy with maybe 60 control. We're going to keep Ferrer around. Last year he pitched great for us, under 2 ERA in 59 innings for us. Solid pitcher across the board, and a good lefty, which is very important. Shane Smith, not much to say about him. He didn't pitch great for us, but he didn't pitch badly for us. He's all right. He's probably going to be sticking around in long relief. Troy Taylor is the guy I'm really looking forward to developing as my closer of the future. If he develops, he is going to be our closer for sure, but I don't count on him actually developing. If he gets a 5 or 10 point bump in stamina, we might even try to move him into the rotation. But yeah, Troy Taylor's an exciting, still kind of like a prospect, even though he was with us for 60 innings last year and 23 the year before. Tanner Scott, this is just pure value. We got 95% of the $16 million contract retained, and we're just going to hold on to him. Last year he did not pitch very well. I expect a bounce back with these ratings unless there is a hidden decline. At age 33, it's very possible he's declining. If we have to DFA him, we'll do that. So, yeah, going forward, we're in okay shape. I mean, we are mostly keeping the team together. And if we go into some of our ARB cases, like Trevor Stefan for $8 million is going away. He's got nice ratings, but he's not really knocking it out in AAA. He's just okay there. And so I'm not feeling bad about moving on from him. We are keeping around Zach Geloff in AAA, possibly moving on from Griffin Conine if anybody wants him. But $1.5 million to keep around an outfielder who at least still kind of has a bat might be worth it. His ratings have declined. He never did reach his potential, unfortunately. And Edward Bizzardo, let's see, he's going to be making 2.8. That's a little steep, but we can handle that. And yeah, like I said, moving on from Jordan Hicks, moving on from Aroldis Chapman. And then the last player we're definitely saying goodbye to is Jorge Mateo, unless he wants to sign for like $1.8 million. No, he wants that same $4.5 million, which is understandable. But last year he was only like a semi-competent AAA player, and so he really is at the end of his career as far as I'm concerned. I've also been scouting the internationals, trying to pick up more information about them, but you see there's still quite a few unknowns in here, so I don't know all of their personalities. But there's a very exciting prospect with a catcher with a bad personality, which is already quite rare. Really good potential ratings here, good potential power, and he doesn't have low work ethic, and he's not unintelligent. So it's looking like Dave Martinez is probably going to be the guy we go after, but I'll have more information on that later as I learn more about the international amateurs. Little player development rundown. We are training a lot of players who are kind of older and on our major league team up to like age 28 or so. I do want to win in the next couple of years. I don't want this to go on forever. I will keep playing if we don't win, but it does mean training a lot of guys who are like 27, 28. Merrick Houston, with these ratings, you could train him in pretty much anything. We're going for plate discipline with him. Jackson Holiday, he's got some potential in that gap power we're going to work on. Mason Wind could develop better contact, so we're working on there. Basically, all these guys, we're choosing one stat where they are showing, according to my scout, some room for improvement, and we're just going to try to improve that. And it's a pretty good mix of like medium difficulty programs and a few hard ones thrown in. So, guys like Grayson Rodriguez, we're going to try to increase his movement. Notably, Henry Davis, we're going to try to work on his strikeouts. At 45 avoid Ks, he's still striking out like 120 times a year. We'd like to get that down just a little bit, be more complete hitter. Tarek Skubal's the oldest player we're training. At age 30, we've still got him for 5 more years or 4 more years. So we're going to work on a secondary pitch. So maybe the slider or curveball jumps up there, becomes an even better pitch. That would be nice. Easton Carmichael is the guy I have in mind to replace Corey Lee. And we want to get him up as soon as possible. And we're going to be working on his quality of contact. Reese Hines we're taking a flyer at Reese Hines here. I love his outfield ratings. I love that arm. He can play right field. He's got some power potential. So he might be kind of a sleeper. He is putting up he's had 3 seasons in AAA and he's putting up 30 home runs. So Reese Hines is a little overdue for a shot at the majors. The only problem is this avoid Ks is rancid. And so we are going to work on that 2-strike approach with Reese Hines, try to get him up into the majors. Some of our prospects we're working on. Chris Arroyo, going to try to develop some of that power. I wasn't sure whether to go avoid Ks or power, but let's see if we can get him up to that 55 power. He might be able to come DH for us. Antonio Jimenez, a promising infielder. With him, what are we working on? His gap power. Okay. Angelo Zavala, pitching prospect. We're going to try to improve control on several of our pitching prospects here. Braden Jaska, he could do anything with him. I'm going to work on his plate discipline because it's a medium program. So either gap or eye are the things to work on if you want to succeed more often. Tracer Lopez, another guy we're just going to kind of take a flyer on. I want to try to increase that power. If he gets that power up to 40, if we get super lucky, 45 potential. But yeah, if he's hitting in the 45 to 50 range on his ratings by the time next season ends, then he could be a viable major leaguer down the road. And that is about it for the player development. There are already a couple of fairly interesting players in free agency. I'll come back to Luis Vasquez first. 29-year-old outfielder Ivan Johnson. He only wants a minor league contract, and so we're going to go ahead and go with that. And then I've gone ahead and offered Luis Vasquez 1.8 or 1.9 million. He is good in the infield. Not great in the outfield, but he can play left in a pinch. And his ratings are just as good as other guys I'm kind of keeping around. He's about on the Zach Geloff level. And so I see no reason not to add him to my organization. In fact, I did used to have him in AAA a couple years ago. And he played a full season for us, and he hit really well. I'm thinking what happened there was he didn't have a bad personality. Or I just lost track of him somehow and let him go. But yeah, glad to have him back. And unfortunately, he is going to be making a lot of money, which does cut right into our budget, which is very small. But I think having that infield depth, like I've maybe spoken about earlier, is going to be really important going forward. One trade of note before heading into free agency. I sort of recompiled my short list and cut out everybody who became a good personality and added in everybody who became a bad one. The only player of note there was William Contreras, but his contract of 33 million is just way crazy. And even without retaining any of it, the Brewers were happy to keep that contract. So no luck getting William Contreras, even though he has a pretty good bat. But we are picking up from the Cubs Porter Hodge. He's 26 years old. He's got acceptable control of 45. He does only have 3 pitches. He is a leader, which is good. We would like that on our team. High stuff rating, which is a little bit unusual in a long reliever / starter. And we'll be giving up, unfortunately, a decent guy who's still kind of seems like a prospect is Trent Harris. He's very popular on the team, so fans aren't going to like it. And he does have 4 pitches, but he's 28. He's pitching fine, but he's just not getting where we need him to be. And I want to take a shot at the slightly younger Porter Hodge, who I believe can probably start for us. Another trade. This is a nice one. We're offloading David Peterson, who's out for 10 more months and getting old. And we're going to be getting ourselves Ricky Tiedemann, a pitcher who I always like to have in my saves whenever I can. He slots in great as a reliever or a starter or a long relief guy. And his personality kind of teeters on being good or bad. I've seen it go both ways a number of times. And in order to get him, we're not giving up anybody of note. The best player we're giving up is a guy with a good personality and not a very promising pitcher in high A who's getting a little old for high A. So everybody else is just like a 1.5 star or 2 star throw in. So this is great. Ricky Tiedemann, welcome to the Beeholes. Tomorrow begins award season, but an interesting offer from the Marlins. They are willing to send us Josh Eknes, who appears, despite having a bad 9 innings in Major League Baseball last year, appears to have really solid ratings. I have very high scouting on him. Low development risk. He throws 97 to 99. He's not an extreme fly ball pitcher. He's got high work ethic to sort of offset the other negative traits he has. So Josh Eknes is looking like all that in a bag of chips. I think we're going to discuss this trade with the Marlins. They want Alex Rodriguez, and I'm not giving up Alex Rodriguez. He's too much of a talent, a potential player for us. He hit 336 last year in the rookie league. So yeah, we are going to work that trade with Miami, though, and see if we can come out of it with a Josh Eknes. All right, I have shopped around Alex Rodriguez, and there is some interest in him. The problem is there's no interest by teams that have players that I want. So somebody like Jarren Duran or Roman Anthony or Corbin Carroll, Rodriguez does not move the needle with them at all. And the only teams that want him, well, every team wants him because he's a pretty well-regarded prospect, but they're only willing to give up like 2.5 star prospects of their own. And Eknes can help us out so much. And I feel bad for doing this because Rodriguez does actually have that bad personality that we need. But I just think it's going to be at least 4 years, maybe 5, before he sees the majors. And so short-term thinking has taken over. I'm going to go ahead and complete this trade. Quick award season update. We didn't win a lot of awards. Basically, just Brenton Doyle won his 5th consecutive Gold Glove at center field. Logan Webb finished 3rd place for the Cy Young, behind Brian Wu and Taj Bradley, which robbery, folks, absolute robbery, but that's okay. Wu and Bradley both had a lot of strikeouts, and that's why they were finished ahead. I don't know why the AI valued strikeouts this year, but it did. And Will Klein is asking for a major league contract, and I'm trying to decide whether or not to put him on my 40-man. Right now I don't really have room on my 40-man roster, so I will take a look at that. In the American League, Cal Raleigh wins MVP, and Pete Crow in the National League. And also, we did not win Manager of the Year despite coming in with 100 wins because the Tigers beat us in the playoffs. Their 90-win manager is Manager of the Year. With the money we cleared up from getting rid of most of David Peterson's contract, we were sitting at about $17 million. And I went ahead then and spent a couple $1 million on independent league prospects, just in the hopes that if one of them hits, they'll get more than $1 million or $2 million in trade value for sure. They were just like younger 2.5-star guys with good potential and just solid fundamentals. So just to recap who's going away, Trevor Stefan, Kyle Isbell, Griffin Conine, all going away. Jordan Hicks will become a free agent. Aroldis Chapman is gone. And then of my minor leaguers, Christian Charl and Jorge Mateo are going away as well. I did throw Will Klein on the 40-man. And it is that most exciting email of the year when the international free agents enter the market. This year we have 11. No starting pitchers this year. The important one that jumps right out is Edwin Allers out of Venezuela. But unfortunately, he has a positive personality, and so he is not a player for us. I checked his contract demands. He's asking for about $20 million a year. So I expect that some team's going to sign him for 4 or 5 years at like $25 million. So that'll be interesting. Everyone's a reliever this year. So age 30, I'm not even going to really bother looking. 24-year-old catcher, good personality and bad ratings. Yeah, another first baseman with good personality. Imamura. Okay, good personality again. Someone we cannot use. Hiromoto Nomura. We don't know what his personality is, but it says he gives an honest effort each day. He is 28 years old. He plays a competent left field. That's the only place you can really put him besides DH or first base. Pretty good first base ratings, to be honest. Yeah, this would be a great player, but he is going to want like $30 million, isn't he? Yeah, it says 20 to 25, 28 at his peak year. Not even close. It's going to be way higher than that. He might make $40 million. Let's try Pedro Barajas. And he's 33 years old. Good personality. Yeah, everyone's got a good personality this year. So no international free agents for us. But let's take a really quick look at all of the free agents. And well, I always like to check on Duran to see what his ratings look like, because sometimes they go insane. So it's looking like Felix Bautista. Who else? Yeah, he's the only 3-star player with a bad personality. And we did start with him in 2025. He pitched okay for us. He played pretty well for the Dodgers. Yeah, in the 2 seasons where he actually had some action with them, totally fine. Let's see what he's looking for. Oh gosh, if he's only looking for hot $5.5 million for a year, yeah, we'll have to investigate that. That would be a great deal. Relievers are very, very expensive these days. 33-year-old Anthony Alford, Andrew Benintendi, 33 years old. There's Aroldis Chapman. I just want to see what he wants. Yeah, he's only asking for like $2.8 million. What's my last scout on him? 907. Okay, let's get a good scout off on Aroldis Chapman. Even though we released him, he can come back much cheaper, so it might actually be an option to bring him back. Curious what Griffin Conine's contract demand is. He wants $3.8 million. He's out of his mind. And we're getting pretty heavily down into these 2.5-star players. Jordan Hicks. Let's see if he's changed his mind about his contract demands. He's asking for 12.6 from the market. That's a little more fair. If he'd have asked for 12 from us, I might have tried to sign him for like 11. So we'll keep an eye on that. I am curious what Kyle Isbell wants as well. Okay, he's looking to sign for around $6 million. So good. So some of these prices seem to be coming down on these guys. Nico Cavadas, that avoid case is just too rancid. Jorge Mateo, I want to know what he wants to sign for. Yeah, he wants $4 million still. He's crazy. Lance McCullers Jr., I mean, not what he used to be for sure, but he did pitch. He's pitched fine the last 3 full seasons. Yeah, he's been totally fine. So let's see what Lance McCullers Jr. would like. That is quite reasonable, honestly. I wonder if he'd do a 1-year deal. Well, we will check back in with Mr. McCullers Jr. Andrew Nardi. Ooh, he's not actually looking that bad. How many home runs? Yeah, home runs are high. Oh, he has lost a bad personality trait, so we can take him off the short list. Isaac Paredes, let's see what he wants. Yeah, 12 million plus. That's about right for him. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong too. I just get that feeling. Brady Singer, what are you looking like these days? Still the same old Brady Singer, looking fine. Pitched well last year. What does he want? 11? Okay. I'm surprised to see such reasonable demands. Trevor Stefan. Okay, well, if he wants just an option, he's got it. I'm offering that to him immediately. Juan Yepez, how's he doing? Yeah, he's hanging around. Okay, so that is everybody who's rated 2.5 stars or better on the free agent market. I will investigate some of these a little further, but we're not going to be making any major moves. And honestly, there aren't a lot of players available who are all that impactful. So we'll see what happens. I want to check Tyler Glasnow. Okay, so his personality is outspoken, and sometimes he develops a bad personality, but so far not in this save. I was really looking forward to that one. Okay, so that's going to be the end of this part. We're going to come back. I'm going to show what I've done in free agency, maybe make little small improvements to the team wherever I can. It does say I have $34 million for free agents if I look there, but my budget has miraculously changed. I'm not sure what it was taking into account there, but that's fine with me. Having $34 million definitely shakes things up a bit, so I might be able to make a move in the off season. So please join me for the next part as we dive into the rest of free agency and then development and spring training and international amateur free agents, and then we will try to take it home in 2028. All right, so long and take care.